Hello and thanks for joining us on NTA International News at this time. I am Dennis Adegunloye. First, the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari presides over a strategic meeting on Nigeria's expectation ahead of African Union session of heads of states and government. Federal Capital Territory Administration moves to reclaim lands from illegal occupiers. Plus, Federal Permanent Secretaries retreat holds in Kano to explore accountability mechanism in public procurement. And now the news in detail. All is now set for the opening of the 33rd Ordinary Session of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Sunday. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that a strategic meeting was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on the nation's expectations at the summit. In attendance were the governors of Imo and Cross River states, ministers of foreign affairs, defense, information and culture, industry, trade and investment, as well as other key members of the Nigerian delegation. Discussions centered on how Nigeria can derive maximum benefits from the summit, which has as its theme, silencing the guns, creating conducive conditions for Africa's development.
My expectation, among other things, is at the end of the day, we would have gotten an organized and approved strategy by the African Union to bring peace and stability in the region, and then also use that as a model to address the Nigerian scenario. I think it is an opportunity for our people to also rally around the president to ensure the excesses of Boko Haram, the kidnapping in the east and the west, and then all the violent crimes are brought down, and then peace to reign in Nigeria so people can go about their normal businesses.
And I'm happy with the breakfast meeting I had with Mr. President this morning. His eloquence and deep understanding of the subject of peace, unity and security of Africa as a fulcrum basis for African growth. And he's driving it personally. I find his energy and enthusiasm very, 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 very encouraging and very outstanding. And his passion for Africa is seen in his deliberate step in every of the subtopics, including the peace and conflict issues in South Sudan. He's on top of it, and he is going to be playing a major role in guaranteeing peace within the African continent.
President of the United Nations General Assembly, Professor Mohamed Tijani Bande, who also arrived at Addis Ababa for the summit, described the area of focus by African leaders at the summit as not only significant but urgent.
Where from the standpoint of the United Nations, 70 to 80% of council issues in the Security Council relate to Africa, and in particular conflict situation. And therefore, for Africa, it is extremely urgent. One, because of resources that are devoted in purchase of arms, but the devastation that especially small arms and light weapons have brought on the continent, which hardly produces such weapons. And of course, the destruction around the continent, in many parts of the continent, relating to conflict, are such that without a concerted effort to silencing the guns, will continue to go around the cycle. Some effort is made and then destroyed, then we rebuild again. This cannot continue. It is extremely urgent.
Now towards promoting judicious use of funds and ensuring financial discipline in the public sector, the Bureau of Public Procurement, in collaboration with the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, has organized a 4-day retreat for Federal Permanent Secretaries in Nigeria to enhance accountability. Hadiza Muhammad Ali was there and now reports.
The Bureau of Public Procurement is an organization saddled with the responsibility of monitoring and overseeing public procurement and harmonization of the existing government policies and practices by regulating, setting standards and developing the legal framework and professional capacity for the procurement in Nigeria. The 4-day retreat is to acquaint participants on the procurement processes such as executive order, on ease of doing business and local content. It is also to introduce participants to the emerging trend in the public procurement in Nigeria.
So we are just coming new to these very important responsibility positions. And there is no any rule in the public service that can send you to prison easily than Procurement Act.
This imposes on us the obligation for us to always acquaint ourselves of all the procedures, processes and requirements in the Act.
There are some certain sections of the Act that may not be relevant to you, but in general practice, we've been reminded for those of us that have been on the seat for quite some time.
Director General Bureau of Public Procurement Mamman Ahmadu decried over the declining price of crude oil, which is the source of financing the budget, thereby putting more pressure on the already insufficient funds for the national development.
The retreat provides a feedback system in the reform of public procurement in Nigeria.
Always a refreshing time where we look back at the previous year. We look at things we've done well, things we didn't do very well, and we get spurred on to even do better.
And what we have today is to make procurement process very efficient, very effective, and very transparent.
The retreat is also to appreciate the ongoing amendment of Public Procurement Act 2020 and to review the performance of the management, department and agencies in the 2019 financial year to identify areas of weakness and make procurement proceedings of 2020 more efficient. In Kano, Hadiza Mohammed Ali, NT News.
Discussions at the Commissioners of Health Forum in Abuja have reiterated the imperatives for strict compliance and implementation of subsisting agreements with foreign agencies aimed at strengthening health facilities in the country. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the health administrators are concerned over the quality of service delivery at primary and secondary health institutions across the country.
These are not just administrators. As commissioners of health, most of those gathered here are doctors first and then policymakers. At the moment, they are more interested on how best to establish a structure within the health sector that promotes quality service delivery.
What's most important for us is to build a health system that is functional and can be able to respond to the health needs of our people.
This is targeted to help strengthen the healthcare system with respect to primary healthcare under one roof.
Minister of Health expects more work from various states in tackling health problems.
Meeting the commitments is a big step in the right direction, and I appeal to everybody to ensure full implementation of these commitments.
This meeting is timely. The agenda on the table is also quite vast. Deliberations spanned areas like malnutrition, routine immunization, and polio eradication initiatives. On polio, the commissioners desire sustainability in the successful containment of wild polio in Nigeria.
We need to do everything possible to get our primary healthcare platform to work.
The consensus agreement of stakeholders in the health cycle is expected to articulate compelling commitment to work towards crossing the finish line in the 2020 declaration of decade of action and results, of course, with collaboration from global recognized development partners. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Let's take you to Akwa Ibom State now, where Governor Udom Emmanuel says efficient and effective management of social security scheme will go a long way to reducing agitations across the country. The governor said this when he played host to the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. Susan Asikwo reports that the minister, alongside a team of officers of Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, is in Akwa Ibom State for a retreat.
The team, led by the minister, was received by Governor Udom Emmanuel at the Executive Council chamber. The governor hinted that the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund scheme is pivotal to the social security of Nigeria. He charged operators of the scheme to carry out an intensive enlightenment and awareness program of the scheme, noting that the scheme, if properly managed, will go a long way to stem or reduce the rate of agitations in the country.
The people don't know what are their rights, what are their entitlements, what steps do they need to take, what do they have to do. So I think in this era of social media, a proper website educating people, and simple awareness would also help.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, explained that Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, an agency of the federal government under his supervision, is saddled with the responsibility of managing workers' social security and protection from work-related hazards.
It's a national law and is, so to say, mandatory. And the premium is cheap, 1% of the workers' payroll monthly. And you can get millions. Other benefits, when we give you the procurement, the functions as per territories, include that even if a worker dies while on that duty, the family will be taken care of.
In Uyo, Susan Asukwa, NTA News.
In other news, the FCT Minister of State, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, has vowed to reclaim some land allocated to the FCT Muslim Pilgrim Welfare Board, encroached upon by other developers in Gwagwalada Area Council of the territory. The minister gave this assurance when the director, Malam Mohammed Nasiru Dan Malam, and other management staff of the board took her around the disputed areas. Ifeanyi Izumba has details.
Encroachment as lawlessness and unacceptable by the administration. The Minister of State for FCT, Ramatu Tijani Aliu, revealed that the essence of citing the Pilgrims Board in Gwagwalada was to decongest the city centre in order to bring development to the satellite towns and to also encourage other activities in rural communities as enshrined in the Abuja Master Plan.
But we should be asking with whose permit they went upon the land to plant. It's unacceptable. And lawlessness must just stop in the Federal Capital Territory. Everybody sees any land and just moves in to construct something or plant something, and the next thing they are talking about compensation, and that has become, the order of the day already, and a means to livelihood.
The minister, who maintained that the encroachment will be taken out, also spoke on the fate of some economic trees planted by some indigenous people. According to her, they are causing the administration so much to uproot, so there will be nothing like compensation.
As for compensation on this, we will go to the highest court. No compensation will be paid. You cannot deliberately move upon someone's property, plant whatever it is you want, and you call for compensation.
The FCT Minister of State, however, emphasized that land belongs to the federal government and to the FCT administration. Citizens are advised to keep off. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Izumba, NT News.
In another development, the Explosive Ordnance Office of the Ekiti State Police Command is to be relocated. Governor Kayode Fayemi disclosed this while on a visit to the site of the explosion, which occurred in the early hours of Saturday. Kola Adebobui reports that the governor and the Commissioner of Police, Amba Asuko, agreed on the relocation.
On-the-spot assessment shows that the explosion occurred from the anti-bomb squad office of the Nigerian police in Adogiti in the early hours of Saturday. Although there is no casualty, the effects of the incident were noticed on various buildings around the area. The Commissioner of Police, Asuku Amba, while on inspection of the incident, described the explosion as unfortunate and advised residents to go about their normal duties as the area has been stabilized without casualty of any form.
These demolition accessories are accessories that in case of a bomb blast and they want to rescue the bomb out of that place, they might have need to reblast it. So it is an accessory that was kept in their stockhouse and it must have exploded from there.
Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who was on assessment tour of the situation, however, said the anti-bomb office will be relocated from the present site.
The issues have been during the week. They have a lot of people.
The affected areas have been controlled off from the public. In Adogiti, Kola Adebobui, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We'll take a break now. More stories when we return. Stay with us. Thanks for remaining with us. Now, the Northern States Governors Forum has congratulated the Emir of Zazzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, for attaining 45 years on the throne. In a congratulatory message, Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, described the reign of Alhaji Idris as one that has brought peace, prosperity and stability to the Zazzau Emirate, Kaduna State and Nigeria as a whole. Lalong said, in more than 4 decades of leadership, Alhaji Idris has displayed passion, compassion, courage and selflessness in ruling his people by paying close attention to their needs and responding appropriately. He has pursued justice, peaceful coexistence, tolerance and nation building in a manner that has made Zaria a home for all. The Northern Governors Forum also thanked the Royal Father for his support and wise counsel to various administrations in the country, and in particular to the Northern Governors Forum, especially during difficult times. And now we join Obiageli Ogwoke for a review of major stories during the week.
Hello there, it's glad to have you join us on the Week in Review segment of the news. We begin with security matters in Nigeria, which generated lots of concern in the week under review. A high-powered committee with members from both the executive and the legislature is to be constituted towards finding lasting solutions to the resurgence of crime and criminality in parts of the country. This formed the resolution of a high-level engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the presiding officers of the National Assembly.
Everything that matters as far as the security of this country is concerned, we believe that it is imperative that we're able to provide those necessary equipment and welfare for the armed forces of this country and the police to ensure that they're able to operate and perform efficiently and effectively.
In the same vein, the National Assembly reconvened after its New Year and Christmas recess. The legislators spent most of their times considering security issues, which culminated in the invitation of the Inspector General of Police in the previous week. The visit of the police boss to the Senate chamber at Wednesday's plenary is part of consultations by the Senate towards supporting community policing.
The concept is to give policing back to the community, let the community take the initiative in identifying the problems that are there that can lead to the commission of crime, and then we'll work with the community to solve the crime.
We informed you that upon resumption of plenary in 2020, the first national issue that was discussed on the floor of the House of Representatives was security, during which House members urged authorities to do more to tackle security breaches in parts of the country. As a follow-up, the House Wednesday invited service chiefs for a meeting.
Issues that we must all sit down as Nigerians to discuss. One of it I can mention is there's probably an international dimension to what we see. There's ISIS, there's ISWAP.
We also brought you the report that about 60 billion naira is to be expended by the federal government towards enhancing the provision of roads, infrastructure and bridges in parts of the country. The nation's education sector also received a boost with the approval of nearly 10 billion naira for the enhancement of teaching and learning, as well as the security of the environment. These were part of the resolutions of the Federal Executive Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari.
It was just the time for maintaining the expansion joint, and it's a specialist work which we deploy the contractors, and they are already working there.
And the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, revealed that the proposed federal government loan of $22.8 billion will provide a much-needed impetus to deliver on the nation's infrastructure development. The minister was speaking at a public hearing by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt on the matter.
When this project is approved, then there will be more visibility for our people in the music industry, in the fashion industry, in the film industry.
We told you that Nigeria is set to receive another $320 million recovered in United States of America. This is the hallmark of the U.S.-Nigeria Binational Commission meeting in Washington, D.C. And on health, we told you that the latest recorded cases of 17,000 people infected with the deadly coronavirus globally, the Chinese government has reassured that the virus will soon be a thing of the past. And lastly, President Donald Trump of United States survived the impeachment process at the United States Senate. He was found not guilty of abusing his powers and acquitted of all the charges leveled against him by the House of Representatives. That's it on the Weekend Review. I'm Obiageli Ugwoke. Thanks for your time.
Obiageli Ugwoke, thanks for that package. Sports now, and Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed her determination to the country's powerlifters after 16 of them won gold at the just concluded World Cup in Abuja and qualifiers for the Summer Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Ayo Deji Makinde has details.
4 days of keen competition with 171 para-athletes from 17 countries. The Powerlifting World Cup in Abuja, Nigeria was a cynosure. Veteran para-powerlifter Lucy Ejike was one of the outstanding performers on the final day with an impressive lift of 128 kg in the women's senior plus 61 kg category. Junior sensation Esther Nwogu was another shining light as she won Nigeria's first gold medal in the up to 41 kg class. These impressive performances listed 13 Nigerians on the contenders list in different categories of the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Nigeria already signaled an intention as a worthy challenger for gold medals, claiming 13 of the available 20 gold medals at this year's World Cup. Egypt came second with a distant 3 gold ahead of Brazil and Kenya. At an elaborate closing ceremony, Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the wife of Speaker, Federal House of Representatives Salamatu Bajabi Amila, expressed delight at the dominant display and pledged to continue support to the powerlifters.
As for Team Nigeria, the Unstoppables, we are happy and proud you have remained on top. Congratulations. We expect you to do the same during the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics.
Enthusiasts of the sport were also quick to hail the resilience of the Nigerian powerlifters after another world-class performance here in Nigeria.
Was a kind of commitment from the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This time around they are going to come out with great colored flying colors.
I don't think there's any other thing new from between Olympics and the World Cup. It's the same countries that are going to compete for the same categories.
Somehow they've been able to be useful, and right now I think we call them able bodies.
Having won all the categories of these awards, there's nothing you can say but to be exceedingly happy.
The glamorous event ended with some speculations after the president, Nigeria Powerlifting Federation, Queen Ubo Idris, announced her resignation as the anticipation of an official pronouncement from her and the federation looms. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
Congratulations to Team Nigeria. Up next is the weather prospect for Nigeria and some world cities of the world on Sunday.